story from the long ago days when my daughter, who's now 20 years old, was in preschool. Usually, at the end of the day, when I picked her up, the teachers were out on a playground that was next to the preschool, and they were in the midst of the kids who were running around and swinging and jumping and playing. But then came the day that as I walked up the sidewalk toward the playground, I saw the head teacher, Joey, standing outside the gate to the playground with a clipboard in her arm, looking grim. And she talked to each parent as they walked up. This could not be good, I thought. So I walked up to her and she said, "Hi, Jane," and I saw her check my name off her clipboard list. "We are just letting parents know that we had an incident today at school. Several of the children were very upset, and it may come up at home tonight, so we just wanted you to be prepared." Now, Joey was one of the bubbliest and cheeriest people that I had ever known, but she looked like she was about to burst into tears. "What happened?" I asked her, thinking it really had to be terrible. "This morning, during chore time," she said, "the student who was responsible for feeding the gerbils noticed that Whitey," and hand to God, they let them name the gerbils Whitey and Blackie. The child noticed that Whitey wasn't moving very much in his cage. In fact, Whitey wasn't moving at all. So at morning circle time, we teachers thought that we needed to talk to the children about Whitey's passing. And that's when, as I could tell from Joey's face, something must have gone terribly, terribly wrong. Although, I suppose from Whitey's point of view, things went terribly wrong a little bit before then. Joey explained that during circle time, the teachers asked the children if they had any questions about what had happened to Whitey. And one child immediately said, "Why did Whitey die? We'd only had him a couple of years." And in trying to explain death to a group of preschoolers, one valiant teacher leapt into the fray with this helpful explanation: "Little things have short lives and big things have long lives." The circle of panic-stricken 3- and 4-year-olds looked at each other in horror at their little bodies and their small faces and their tiny hands. And one child began to wail. "Little things have short lives?" Now another brave teacher waded into battle when another child said, "But how old was Whitey?" Before she thought about it, she said, "Oh, 3 or 4 years old." Remember, this was a preschool classroom full of children who were all 3 and 4 years old, and 2 more began to weep hysterically. "Why hadn't anybody told us this before? We're all gonna die." So that afternoon, as Joey stood outside the playground gripping her clipboard, she assured me in a tone that I've only ever heard funeral home directors use, that the teachers did eventually manage to calm the children down, and the rest of the day had gone as well as could be expected. Now, out of sympathy for poor Joey, whom I loved, and who clearly was not seeing humor in this situation at all, I kept a straight face, and I walked through the gate, and I thanked her for letting me know about the unfortunate incident. I scanned the playground, and I found Sophie waiting her turn at the swings. Happily, she took her turn, and we trooped inside to her cubby to get her stuff. And I was relieved to see that she didn't seem the least bit upset. She had obviously recovered from whatever circle time trauma she might have suffered in the morning. So I went to her cubby and I collected her coat and her lunch pail and read over the take-home sheets that were there for me to look at. And while I did that, she went out into the back hallway to get a drink from the drinking fountain. As part of the end-of-day routine at this particular preschool, before they took the children out to the playground for pickup time, the teachers always bagged up the garbage and left it in the back hallway for the custodian. Oh yeah, you see where this is going. Yeah. As I walked to the back hallway to get Sophie and head for home, I could see her. I can still picture it. It was like this kind of hazy afternoon in a dark hallway. And down at the end of the hallway, I could see her, little 3.5-year-old, like this, with her hands behind her back and her head kind of cocked. She was looking at a clear plastic bag that was sitting on the floor. And I walked up to her and she said, "Look, Mom, there's Whitey." It's true, there he was, lying serenely amongst the construction paper scraps and the discarded lunch bags and the empty glue bottles, his stiff, little, furry body waiting its final dispatch to the dumpster in the parking lot. Those poor teachers. Theirs was a difficult task, and they did try, God bless them, to deal with Whitey's death as best they could, but whoever thought it was a good idea to use a clear plastic bag on that particular day, I'm just saying. But otherwise, faced with a daunting challenge, they tried to rise to the occasion and speak honestly when death paid a visit to their little classroom. And who among us, after all, finds it easy to contemplate death or talk about it plainly? I mean, think of the euphemisms we use, right? We put our pets to sleep. We say that Uncle Edgar passed away. We explain that great-grandma went on to her great reward. We talk about dead relatives as the dearly departed, who rest in peace, or we joke that that old so-and-so bought the farm, or kicked the bucket, or met his maker. It all goes to show that we're pretty uncomfortable thinking about, talking about, dealing with death. I've heard more than one person say that they think Christians are guilty of turning death into no big deal. That we talk about it like it's some simple freeing of the soul from the prison of the body and a quick and painless transition to blissful immortality. That Easter is really just some kind of cosmic get-out-of-jail-free card that makes us not worry about death at all. I think nothing could be further from the truth. The Bible, and in particular the passages that you heard Betty and heard me read today, make no bones, excuse the pun, about the seriousness of death. In these two stories, one about Ezekiel seeing all the dry bones and the other about Jesus raising Lazarus, death is final and impossible for humans to undo. And according to both Ezekiel and to John, death causes anguish, despair, and sorrow for those who mourn. In addition to our scriptural witness, we Christians also have this season that we're in now, Lent, a time of penitence and contemplation that starts with Ash Wednesday, when with the mark of ashes pressed onto our skin, we are reminded, "You will return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. You are dust, and to dust you will return, ashes to ashes, dust to dust." During the 40 days of Lent that follow this somber ceremony with the ashes, we journey with Jesus to Jerusalem and on to Golgotha, which is literally the place of skulls, a place littered with bones and corpses of all those whom the Roman Empire crucified. And it's there on Good Friday that we stand to watch our Savior die on a cross. I don't know about you, but to me, that does not sound like a faith that is trying to dodge death or deny its power. Yes, we have Easter, with its trumpets and its lilies and its empty tomb and its victory over death, but it's not Easter yet. It's getting closer, despite the snow that's sitting outside those windows. It is getting closer. But as my favorite preacher, Barbara Brown Taylor, puts it, we have to walk through a graveyard to get to Easter. We have to walk through Holy Week, from the first Hosanna of Palm Sunday to the last scrape of rock against rock as the stone is rolled in front of Jesus' tomb after his lifeless body is laid inside. We have to walk through a graveyard to get to Easter. Maybe that's why, with only 6 days to go before Holy Week begins, we are given the stories of dry bones coming to life with the breath of God, and of Jesus raising his friend Lazarus from a stench-filled tomb. I think these stories are meant to reassure us as we prepare for our walk through that graveyard to reassure us that there is a power loose in the universe that is stronger than death, stronger than our fear of death. Now, neither of those stories, if you listen to them closely, tries to say that death doesn't matter, or isn't important, or shouldn't upset us. Quite the opposite. Just like our Holy Week walk, each story marches straight ahead into a valley filled with dry bones, as far as the eye can see, into the midst of a grieving family, standing at their brother's tomb, where his decomposing body has lain for 4 days. And once they get there, each story raises a question. Mortal, can these bones live? God asks Ezekiel. A weeping Jesus, standing outside Lazarus' tomb, asks Martha, do you believe that I am the resurrection and the life? The answer to those questions is at the crux of things for us Christians. Despite how vast that horrible valley full of bones was, or how final that tomb's dank stench, the answer that comes is this. God gets to have the last word, and death does not. In the answer to those questions, God reveals the divine purpose to save and to fashion a new people out of dead bones, to bring life out of death, to affirm love in the midst of loss, hope in the midst of despair, and to overcome the thing that overcomes us all. God is in the business of calling forth light and life where we can only see darkness and death. Even more amazing, God accomplishes this not by doing some end run around death, but by going right through it. Even more amazing still, the stories of Ezekiel and Lazarus are really just rehearsals for what God will accomplish in that awful, mysterious pause between the horror of Good Friday and Easter morning's joy. But the raising up of dry bones and of Lazarus are not just a preview of coming attractions, when our own resurrection will be completed at some point in the future. Jesus says to Martha, I am the resurrection and the life, not I will be. He speaks in the present tense because resurrection life begins here in this life. Resurrection isn't only about our final physical death and what happens to our souls after we die. Resurrection is also and always about the continued miraculous raisings and renewals that happen all throughout our lives, transforming us again and again as we all experience the smaller deaths that life deals out along the way. God stands at the mouth of every tomb we find ourselves in, not just the tomb into which we're laid at the end of our physical life. God stands in front of every tomb we manage to hole up in while we're living. Tombs of despair, tombs of denial, tombs we find ourselves in after we've died to an old way of life, but we wonder if we'll ever really live again, like after a divorce or a job loss, after your last child grows up and leaves home, after you retire, after you're forced to move away from the home that you've loved. In the aftermath and devastation of a natural disaster or a war, living can feel more like dying. Like Ezekiel's Israel living in exile, we say our bodies are dried up, our hope is lost, we feel cut off completely. And like Lazarus, we find ourselves trapped and tangled up and tied up inside a tomb. And it's then that God arrives on the scene, weeps for the pain and the loss that we've suffered, and then yells. The Greek word that's used in the Gospel of John is that he screamed at the top of his lungs, come out, so that you might truly live. And with the Spirit of God breathing new life into our dry bones and our bandaged limbs, just as it blew life into the very first human beings when from dust and ashes they were created, love unbinds us and sets us free, and we rise. We rise. I suppose it might be a good idea each year on Ash Wednesday, with all the talk about dust and ashes and returning to the ground, and maybe on every Sunday in Lent, especially this Sunday with the dry bones and the stinking tomb, and for sure on Good Friday as Jesus hangs on a cross and dies, I think we should hire Joey to stand outside that door with her clipboard and say, do you know what's going on in there? It's circle time and it's scary. Because they're talking about death. But this isn't preschool, this is church. And while poor old Whitey's body ended up in a plastic garbage bag, we here in church gather every Sunday to remember and celebrate that Jesus' tomb was empty. That first Easter morning, there was no body. And the first to discover that he was risen learned how to seek the living among the dead. Death is not the last word spoken here. God gets the last word, and that word is life. Mortals, God asks us again and again, can these bones live? Do you believe that I am the resurrection and the life? Because if you do, then come out of your tombs. Come out of the valleys you find yourself in, and I will put my spirit within you, and you shall live. Thanks be to God for that. Amen. And the hymn after the sermon this week is found printed on the back of your handout rather than in the red pen.